Today, a big ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. Justices ruled to limit obstruction charges for hundreds of people involved in the January 6th riot. One of those defendants is former President Donald Trump, who is facing one obstruction charge. Joining me now, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. And Khalif, walk us through what's this mean now to limit the obstruction charge?
It means that the prosecutors overcharged. They overreached. They attempted to take a charge that was not meant to do that and apply it to these rioters or these insurrectionists. Specifically, you got to look back to the Enron case. That's the biggest thing I can look at. That Sarbanes-Oxley laws were kind of produced out of there when you had folks that were doing a lot of things that they shouldn't have. Well, thrown in that Sarbanes-Oxley was these obstruction rules, and they attempted to use those obstruction rules to charge these individuals for obstructing a governmental proceeding. Well, the Supreme Court said, well, you're raising the bar a little too low. You're attempting to use something that was not created to stop what they were doing and just kind of throw it all in there. But on the big scheme of things, this doesn't affect everyone. This is probably 20% of the folks that are charged were given these obstruction charges. And typically these were the guys during the investigation where they knew that they went there and they planned to do this. It wasn't folks that, showed up to the parade and then kind of just walked there and got involved in an insurrection. These were individuals during the course of the investigation that they believed went there with the sole intention of preventing the election, the election from taking place.
But one of the things too, I remember when the former President Trump was charged with this type of thing, they said that this would be one of the easier charges that he would face regarding this.
Easier because it wasn't on point. Typically, when a prosecutor's bringing a charge, they're going to make sure that it's a case they can win. It would be prosecutorial misconduct if you're charging a person with a charge where there's not even meet any of the elements. And so this was one, every legal scholar, I believe that this was one that was off base. While there are folks on both sides of the aisle that can say, okay, this is some things that the former president should not face. But when you're talking about the documents charges, when you're talking about the things that happened in New York, those are kind of more easier where you can say, all right, at least you can put it into a trial of fact, into a jury, into a judge, and they can make a determination. For this one, it seemed like it was a far, far stretch, but this had a large penalty. You're talking about 20 plus years. Upon conviction, those were the bigger ones that they were trying to get. But as the Supreme Court said in this opinion, I thought was exactly how I anticipated it would occur, that this was not what this law was intended to stop. Not these types of actions at all.
So there was a big dump of cases today, of decisions from the Supreme Court. What we didn't see, though, was the one for immunity for former President Trump. What could that mean coming up on Monday if we could?
I would think that these guys, obviously, they have the power to extend, right? And so they could extend the deadline in terms of when their term
Which plays into the former Trump presidents here, delay tactics.
A delay is already there. I mean, both sides have received wins. So the former president has received a win with this, if you want to call it that. Biden received a win with the Idaho one the other day. And so each side is receiving a win from the Supreme Court. But what I can tell you is that major one, the one that's looming over, the big elephant in the room that everyone's waiting for, it's not going anywhere. And so they can delay as long as they want. But once it drops, even if it drops at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, a.m., everyone's going to wake up to figure out, well, what has our Supreme Court decided? Does our president actually have immunity criminally from anything that they do while in office, while using the presidential powers? And that is one that they're still wrestling with. That's one that I think it's going to come down to a 5-4 decision, and it's not going to be one-sided, and it may have, like we've seen these most recent ones. I don't even think it'll go across ideological lines like I thought before. This one today did not. It was a 6-3 decision.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have to see on Monday for that case. And in the meantime, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes, thanks.